yourself unless you have a question, so we don't pick up a bunch of background noise and such. I would appreciate it. All right, it's 6:30. I'm going to call the January 5th, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. this January 5th, 2021. Miss Baird, would you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Alderwoman Emerson,
Here.
Alderman Ward,
Here.
Alderman Azier,
Absent.
okay, Alderman Hunt,
Hunt here.
Alderwoman Mims,
She's excused for the moment.
okay, Alderman Bill Van Buskirk,
Present.
Alderman Walters, Alderwoman Mary Jane Van Buskirk,
Here.
and Green,
Here.
and Alderman Myers.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. All right, moving on to approval of the December 1st, 2020 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mary Jane Van Buskirk. Do I hear a second? Who was that, Ms.
Second.
Emerson?
Yes.
Ms. Emerson has the second. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Mary Jane Van Buskirk,
Yes.
Alderwoman Emerson,
Yes.
Alderman Ward, Alderman Ward,
Yeah, I was just waiting for the echo to go away. Yes.
oh, sorry. Alderman Hunt,
Hunt, yes.
Alderman Bill Van Buskirk,
Yes.
Alderman Green,
Yes.
Alderman Myers.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm glad to see you caught up with us, Mr. Walters.
Oh,
Had a little trouble. It's all good.
All right, Mr. Walters is on board now too. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Okay. Jose Leon, what have you got for us in regard to number 2, the enterprise asset management software?
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Aldermen. I'm going to share my screen here. All right. Before I get started, let me just say, I hope you all had a great new year. I'm excited about 2021. This is our first discussion item for Public Works. And we're going to talk about our enterprise asset management software for our Public Works Department. So what is an enterprise asset management software? The acronym is the EAMS. A software that integrates GIS mapping, asset data, work management, service request management, and permitting with a specific focus on public works operations into one platform. So it kind of gave you this graphic here of all the things that an enterprise asset management software incorporates into a single platform for us to use. So as I'm talking through this, one of the things I really want you all to understand is that this was a budgeted item for actually 2019, 2020. Through the work we've done in 2020, which I'll talk about here in a second, we've realized that we needed more budgeted dollars for this item. And so that's what we did, is we adjusted the budget, or increased the budget rather, in 2020, 2021 budget fiscal year. So why did we budget for this item? Well, because we want to make sure that we are tracking our assets better. We're doing some personnel tracking, man hours, work orders, things like that. Helping track our inventory of materials and items that we buy for our operations. Also, one of the more important things is GIS mapping. You know, this software, as we'll talk about, has GIS mapping capabilities, or integrates it rather with our GIS mapping capabilities, which is one of the things that we've, as you've seen in many of my presentations now, we use our mapping, GIS mapping for several items. A comprehensive centralized database for assets so that it's all in one platform, it's all in one location, this information. It's not, you know, hey, this is where, you know, fleets information is, and this is where streets information is, and et cetera, et cetera. It's all in one location. New technology generally means more efficiency. We'll talk about that here in a second. Right now, we're working with old technology in public works. It's a portable technology, which is one of the things that we really wanted to identify and specify when we issued this RFI. And we believe that it provides more transparency with the public, just because we will have not just more information and better information, we'll have information more readily accessible to share. Right now, we're using staff notes, Excel spreadsheets, you know, Microsoft Word documents. The information archiving is inconsistent. We're not really following up on things each and every time. And field issues or things that we find in the field aren't always documented. And when they are documented, it's kind of like, you know, on somebody's notepad somewhere, rather than in a system that we could, that is centralized. All right, so one of the things we did in 2020, back in March, is we issued a request for information, or RFI. And that was really, we sent it out to, we put it out on public broadcast and legal notice. We had 8 responses from vendors who have enterprise asset management softwares or platforms rather. We had a staff committee review and rank all of them. And then we selected the top 4 after the rankings to do online demonstrations back in July 2020. We ranked the vendors based on the live demonstration and their abilities to which better matched Raytown's needs back in August. And we looked for best fit for Raytown Public Works and also for the parks as well in about October 2020. Staff has been negotiating a cost fee to bring this on board. That's not something that we'll talk about thoroughly this evening. We will hopefully when we bring this to you very soon, the cost of this. But just to give you the timeline, we're looking to bring that to you either later on this month or early next month for cost. Again, this is a budgeted item of $200,000 for 2021. So after we went through all that big process throughout 2020, we narrowed down our vendor selection to Timmons Group CityWorks. And what I'm going to do now is kind of go through some screen captures from their platform and help you kind of identify what information we'll be able to track and how we will be able to track that. So this is the dashboard. So this is a work order traffic for traffic. So as you can see, you know, it's you can tally how many work orders per type. You know, was it a maintenance or was it a repair and sign for sign or pull? You can look at the different types of work orders that are in progress. We can also look at expenditures based on work orders and track all this information each time a work order comes in. I think a good example of this is, if you don't mind me using it as an example, Alderman Van Busker called me, I think yesterday, and said, hey, there's a stop sign down at this location. See, you guys might want to take a look at that. And that would generate a work order. It generates a work order now. It's just not something that we have a platform for. We're just sending folks out to go and repair things and put signs up when they're knocked down, et cetera, et cetera. So this will allow us to actually track the time and effort, materials, cost to do this work for the city. This is one for streets here. Again, looking at, any emergency work that was needed. If we have potholes, we can look at that, potholes that were assigned or that were worked on. We can look at that through a weekly basis, daily basis, yearly, biannual. It's really, or semi-annual even. We can look at the type of work that we have done, and we could also track who was doing the work. Was it, Vern on streets? Was it, Jose Gonzalez? Was it, who was doing the work? And we can track our cost in that as well, in there. Also, one of the things that I should point out is from time to time, we all get, calls or complaints from residents say, hey, there's a bad pothole and I called in 3 days ago and nobody ever has done nothing. We'll be able to see where that is in the system. And if in fact we did do something there, we'll be able to see that. All this information that you see here, even though it's a graph or numbers, it's all mapped in GIS as well. It can be mapped in GIS as well. So that's one important piece of information to know. One of the things that we're looking to do, and this is really kind of spawned out of not just COVID, but really efficiency in our right-of-way permitting, is to bring on CityWorks to help us establish a dashboard, an online dashboard for right-of-way permitting. Right now with our right-of-way permits, contractors have to come into City Hall and deal with this kind of face-to-face, the way our system is set up. This will allow us to have an online platform and use or administer right-of-way permitting online. So as here you can see, what is the permit number, where is it, et cetera, how many active permits do we have, where are they located down here. By type, we can look at by type. Is it a gas company? Is it a fiber company? Is it the water company? Et cetera. And then, also look at, how many permits the inspector is tracking on a day-to-day basis. So there's a lot of information, good information here. Again, information we can get for you today, just not as readily accessible. This is, again, going back to streets service requests. If somebody calls in and says, hey, there's a pothole, there's a new request received, pothole in the street, it damaged a car. You can also see the ones that are in progress, any work that was completed or done. And then again, by type, you can see what type of work has been completed or is being completed by type. And these are all platforms. This isn't a one size fits all. These platforms can be set up to be for Raytown in our operations, which is really nice. Okay. Just different types of activities. Again, really the one thing I wanted to point out here is the mapping. We can look at, different types of activities that we have going around in town right now, whether it's right-of-way permitting, streets, traffic signs, traffic signals, street lights, striping. We can look at all that information on a map now. With the platform, and where we have done work, where work needs to be done as well if it has not been completed. So we can look at all that information right here. Who's been assigned to it? Where is it? What's the status of it, etc. And then there's an inventory portion here where, if we're buying asphalt or concrete, tires, you name it, anything that we're doing in public works to get a job done. This is where this really becomes useful, is being able to track our inventory. As you all know, we don't buy materials to make money. We buy materials to fix something. We bring it in and we want it to go right back out. That's the purpose of us buying materials. So, but having said that, we want to be able to have a system where we can track what it is we've bought, how much of it have we bought. So at the end of the year, when Damon, our city administrator, is asking me, hey, how much hot mix asphalt did we use this year on potholes, et cetera, we can answer those questions much more easier. If the public wants to know, hey, how many potholes did you all fix this year, we can provide that information much more easier. So there's a lot of good use here in the dashboard for inventory. And then just real quickly, we're also wanting to incorporate fleet. Right now, fleet uses some older systems for the maintenance and repair portion. We would like to bring fleet on into CityWorks as well, and you can kind of see what this looks like. You know, the number we would get, which would probably be a unit number, unit number 200, 201, et cetera, description of the truck, the VIN number, all this good information. But more importantly, we can track where is that truck in the city. We can do that right now. We do have GPS mapping. We can look at where the truck has been used, whether it's been for street maintenance or traffic maintenance or sanitary sewer maintenance, et cetera. We can look at all that information in the fleet dashboard. And then more importantly, as we look to create a real 5-year fleet replacement program, we can look at maintenance history, mileage history, usage, things like that. We can track all in this fleet dashboard. So just to recap, I wasn't intending to take up more time than I probably already have this evening. It's a new software. It's a dashboard. It's a work order system, personnel management, fleet information management, GIS mapping, archiving data. It's mobile, meaning we use it on our phones or laptops or iPads, et cetera. Has service request ability, where we're tracking service requests, and public information transparency. Like I said, it's easier to share information, and future presentations, when we have this in place, we'd be able to use a lot of this information to present to you. A lot of those graphs you saw, a lot of that information, we can use that information to present to you much more easier. Again, just to the budget for this is $200,000, and we'll be bringing you an agreement. I'm going to be working with Jennifer and Damon on this to bring an agreement to you all here, hopefully over the next couple of weeks to a month.
Jose, I've got a couple questions real quick. One, does it happen to help with snow removal and all that too, since it has a mapping in it?
It won't provide a public facing mapping, Mayor, where the public will be able to see where our trucks have been. It won't do that, but it will help us with the inventory when we talk about salt, when we talk about usage of trucks, things like that. Yes.
And obviously make your job of making sure your budget is where you're looking at it to be as best possible too, it looks like.
Yeah.
Good. All right, anybody else got any questions? Ryan Myers.
Thank you. Okay, I got a few questions. I'll try to be mindful of my time though. Jose, do any of the other cities around here use this?
Yeah, there are a number of cities in the metro, Alderman Mars, that use enterprise asset management softwares. The ones that use CityWorks specifically that we know of are Independence, the city of Shawnee, I believe the city of Lee Summit, and I believe the city of Olathe, I think.
Gotcha. And then you kind of alluded to it, but this would potentially track asset depreciation. Like it'll send you a notification when, snowplow 12 needs to be replaced, or, the mileage is getting up there.
Yeah, I mean, it'll help us based on the parameters that we set, right? So if
Yeah.
we want it to be by mileage or by hours or what have you, cost of maintenance, all that information, it'll help us centralize all that information. Yes.
Are you planning on bringing PD and the neighborhood service vehicles into that as well?
All fleet will be in there,
Okay.
and we will talk to parks about that as well.
Gotcha. And so it allows you to budget based on hours and whatnot. And, I really like the screenshots of it. Everything looks nice and neat and tidy. One of the things on the audit was us keeping track of hours, especially when it comes to enterprise funds. I take it that this is going to really help with that as well.
Potentially, yes. I mean, we could, especially in our operations, maintenance and operations.
Gotcha. And then the last one was, I know you said that the part of it wasn't public facing, but when it comes to potholes, I know Kansas City might have on their website, you can see where there's an active pothole, there's a pothole getting fixed. I wasn't sure if we could throw one of those little screens that, kind of throws out a map onto the city's website when it gets updated, but if not, no biggie.
Yeah, I think the challenge with bringing in the public facing portion right now on the onset, and Damon and I have actually talked about this at length, is just getting staff familiarized with the new software, and trying to get that going first. And then maybe in the next phase, bring on the public facing side of it once we all get comfortable with using the platform.
Yeah, I figure there's a steep learning curve, but I just wanted to throw that out there, but that's all I got.
Sure, thank you.
Jennifer Barrett, if you'd make note that Jim Azier and Bonnie Mims have now joined us too, so they are present. So Alderman Green, and then you, Mary Jane.
Thank you. I just wanted to kind of jump a little bit off what I think Ryan was starting off to indicate, is that it seems like when I'm hearing the description of all this software and how it's used, it seems like a lot of other communities already have it. I think obviously I'm frankly a little surprised we're doing it now. I guess better late than never. Sounds like this will be, with all this, it'll be create a lot more efficiency within the department. That's all I want to say. Thank you. Thank you, Jose.
Mary Jane Van Buskirk, then Mr. Azier.
How much was originally budgeted for this item?
Yeah, the original budget in 2019-2020 fiscal year was $50,000.
I can speak to
Now it's
that.
up to 200,000?
I can speak to that one. Originally, when I started looking at that back when we were, that was 2018-19 timeframe, we were looking at the assets regarding fleet. Our fleet management tool that we had was antiquated and pretty much not supported anymore. So we're just looking at one particular area. And so we had not going out and got any bids for anybody in particular until later once Jose got aboard. So that was part of the increase, because we started looking at the whole gamut of what asset management really would mean.
Okay.
Right at that time, right now we use like Fuel Master, which is really just based off your vehicle and maintenance, which is really a antiquated way of kind of tracking what you need to do. So that's
okay, that was before you added all the other stuff on that you wanted to.
Not only that, that's before I ever really got any cost. I was going out to get costs, and I used it based off of what that original type of equipment was, but then we found out it wasn't supported anymore to try to come up with a cost of it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Azier. Mr. Azier. Need to unmute yourself, sir. You need to unmute yourself. You'll have to unmute yourself.
All right.
There you go.
Can you hear me now? Thank you. I apologize for that. I've had some computer problems today. We lost electricity here. So that's why I was late getting in. certainly this app, this material makes us look good on paper. I think obviously the more we know and the more we can accumulate information about what we're doing, makes us more efficient. But some of the questions I have, first of all, just thinking back to what I knew about the city in the early 90s, and then after I got elected first, and how many different services we've outsourced since then. Over the period of years, it was like more and more things were outsourced. And then we look at the types of information we're getting. As an alderman, it'd be good to know all these things, how many potholes have we fixed? How about this or that? But I guess the question is, I'm not really sure if the information we're getting warrants the value of the money that we could be spending on infrastructure. $200,000 is a lot of money. If it's going to make us do work faster, or give us more work output, or in the end, by spending $200,000, we'll be taking away from work we could be doing that we spend on technology. So that's a question I ask. I'm not saying I have the answer, and I'm not asking you to answer that tonight. I think that would take a lot of work to be able to do that. I think ultimately, as an alderman who's been around a long time, you would think I'd have a better answer for that, but we never get an itemized and say, well, we used to do this, we had these many potholes. I see a lot of charts that we get. We've done surveys, I've seen those charts, and in the end, a lot of times it was just money spent that we never really got any true value back on. So that's my concern. It's a lot of money, and we have sidewalks, curbs, we have all that infrastructure, we have all the stormwater projects. We say, well, we'll never get all of them. We'll can't even get close to it. So it makes me feel a little more protective of $200,000. So that's just kind of, I wish I knew more about it. And I think in your future presentations, that would be something I think all the aldermen would want to know. This is what we're going to be able to do better. This is why we'll be more efficient. This is what you're going to see. And we should be able to notice it. We should be able to write it down. It should be objective. And if it's not objective and we really can't measure it, then I question whether it's money well spent. Thank you.
All right, next is Miss Emerson and then Bill Van Buskirk. Miss Emerson, you got the floor.
Thank you. My question is, yes, we probably need programs like this, but are we going to have control of all the data that is in there? Will they charge us if we want to delete something or change something?
No, they won't. In fact, the way I understand, and we've been talking about behind the scenes, is we're going to basically share what information we have with them. We're going to set up the platforms. They're going to set up the platforms rather, and they're going to integrate the information into the system, into the platforms. We'll have a number of hours of training with staff. And then really after that, it's our baby to take care of, to continue to input information, delete information, modify, etc.
One other question. So we will have control. They will not be charging us additional money every year?
There is going to be an annual fee that all systems really have with them, and that's one of the fees that we're still talking through right now. But we'll present that information to you all in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Miss Emerson. Bill Van Buskirk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I hope we get a big discount on that annual fee. Mr. Leon, it appears to me that really it's not so much to keep us informed as a board, even though that would be a part of it, certainly, but for the efficient operation of your department and the Parks Department. and fleet management. And in order to, be able to, as you said, to see what inventory you have of parts or materials and be able to instantly see that and keep that information. And you used the description of the call I made to you yesterday related to the stop sign that was down. And even that information that could be, this could be implemented into this system. So you readily have that to track that, to see when that call came in and who was assigned to it, and when something was done related to getting it repaired, or if you had the necessary materials there to take care of that repair. But I think that's a good example. But so to me, it's more of an asset to you and the efficient operation of your department, and in fact, several other departments of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walters, or Mr. Van Buskirk. That was well said. It's called looking at the big picture. I appreciate that. Mr. Walters.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate Mr. Azur's comments and Janet's comments as well. I was wondering, my next question would have followed up, and it's been answered somewhat. We really don't know yet, but if there's an ongoing cost to the initial $200,000, I think we obviously will need to have that before we make a decision. The other question I have is, Mr. Leon, will we be able to receive regular reports to the Board of Aldermen, so that if I turn in certain situations to you, so I can be able to track that for my constituents and let them know where we are?
Yeah, I think that's the goal for us. I mean, I think to Alderman Van Buskirk's point, he's right on one hand, but I think he's discrediting you all on the other. A lot of the questions you all ask me, I'm asking staff. What streets are we working on? How many signs, have we put up? I mean, it's a lot of this information that you all want to know is the information I want to know. So that's a long answer to your question, Alderman Walters. Ultimately, yes, I believe we'll have that information more readily available for you all.
Okay, and the last time that we did upgrades on these types of systems, you mentioned a few that are standalone, apparently, or I think the city administrator mentioned one that tracks mileage on vehicles and so forth, the fuel usage. But have we had large expenditures in the past, to your knowledge, on programs such as this?
Not that I'm aware, no.
The samples that you gave of cities that are using this are all considerably larger than us. I'm wondering if we could have a comparison to some towns that are about our size, say like Gladstone, Grandview, North Kansas City, and see where we are, because they're comparable to us in size and population. And I'd like to see if they're using similar software as well.
I'm happy to ask them.
I appreciate that. If you have any other communities that are more down to our 30,000, 10 square mile area, 30,000 population, 10 square mile area, that I think that would be enlightening as well. So if you could do that, I'd appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Walters. It is now a little after 7, so I will ask for a motion for adjournment. Ms. Emerson.
Mr. Mayor, I had a question I didn't get addressed on.
Okay, go right ahead, please.
Right, thank you.
Please.
Mr. Leon, I wanted to say, first of all, I thank Ms. Emerson for her question, because as I understand it, that's one of the current limitations of our existing system, is that if we wanted to add additional layers, there's a cost for doing that. So I understood you to say to Mrs. Emerson that once we get trained and everything, we will be the administrators on this. And if we want to add additional layers or additional types of maps, we'll be able to do that without additional charge. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Excellent. Do we have an idea of who's going to administer this? Is this going to be an existing position, or is this going to require a new FTE?
No, that's actually one of the things that we've talked about when we were discussing the deputy director position, that they will be the person who's really going to help administer the implementation of the software and really help manage this for Public Works.
And so will we be looking for somebody that has a GIS degree or strong GIS background?
Really, we have GIS folks on staff already, Alderman Ward. It'll be somebody who understands asset management and really has experience with an enterprise asset management software. is really
No,
what we're
and,
looking for.
and I appreciate all the benefits that's going to bring. I guess I'm kind of focusing in on the GIS application.
Sure.
Or integration. Is that using an Esri product or is this some other sort of?
Yeah, we use Esri right now, and so it's compatible with our Esri products.
So are we not upgrading then the GIS component of this? This is just simply linking into our existing GIS?
That's correct.
So if we wanted to add additional layers to our GIS, there would be additional charges for that.
No, there's not. We no longer, because we have an in-house, we do all of our GIS mapping in-house now. We changed that in 2020 with the addition of our engineering technician position who has GIS mapping abilities. So we no longer pay people to add layers and lines and things like that for us. We do all that in-house now.
Well, that's an excellent change then. Have we considered asking our contractors and, we hire somebody to lay asphalt or install new sewers? Have we considered asking them to install or send us KMZ files with the work so that we can just quickly integrate that into our database?
We haven't, but we can look at that.
Okay. And how long do you think it'll take to get this public facing? I mean, I understand your comment, well, that it's going to take some time to get training, but is that a 6-month thing or is that a 2-year thing?
I think realistically, we're looking at a year minimum.
Okay. I appreciate it. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, let's have a motion for adjournment.
Don't move.
Ms. Mary
Second.
Jane.
Second.
Emerson, you got the second. Call roll, please.
Sorry about that. Alderwoman Mary Jane Van Buskirk,
Yes.
Alderwoman Emerson,
Yes.
Alderman Ward,
Yes.
Alderman Azier,
Asia votes yes.
Alderman Hunt,
Hunt, yes.
Alderwoman Mims,
He's there. Hang on just a second.
Yes.
There you go.
Alderman Bill Van Buskirk,
Bill,
Yes.
there you go.
Yes.
Alderman Walters,
Yes.
Alderman Green,
Yes.
and Alderman Myers.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we are adjourned at 7:07 hours. We will now